Welcome to Ping Pong Dreams, where every bounce of the ball carries a heartbeat, and every champion was once just a child chasing a dream. This isn't just a podcast about table tennis, it's about grit, about heartbreak, about rising when the world says no. Here, we don't just celebrate titles, we uncover the souls behind the paddle. Before the roaring crowds, before the shining medals, before the tears, there was a little girl in Harbin, gripping a paddle against the winter chill and dreaming. Today, let me take you on the extraordinary journey of a woman who wasn't born a legend, but became one through heart, determination, and steel. This is the story of Ding Ning, the steel rose of Chinese table tennis. She was born in 1990 in Harbin, a city blanketed by long, unforgiving winters. While most children stayed indoors to avoid the freezing wind, little 5-year-old Ding Ning was different. She picked up a paddle, not because anyone told her to, but because something deep inside her, quiet yet unyielding, sparked. In a small, dimly lit room, while other kids napped or played, she practiced. The sound of the ball bouncing against the wall echoed like the heartbeat of a dream that refused to die. Some days her fingers went numb from the cold, but she never stopped. She whispered to herself, "No matter what, I'll keep going." And yet, she wasn't a prodigy. She didn't have explosive power, didn't move like a dancer, didn't strike like lightning. Coaches once said she lacked natural talent. She was even cut from the national youth team. That kind of rejection could have crushed others. But Ding Ning, she listened, she learned. Then quietly returned to the table. While others rested, she trained. While others celebrated, she reflected. Each stroke, each serve, became an act of quiet defiance, not against others, but against the voice that said, "You're not enough." Then came 2012, the London Olympics, the women's singles final. The moment she'd trained her entire life for. Across the table stood her fiercest rival, her teammate, her shadow, Li Xiaoxia. The air was electric, cameras flashed, the weight of a nation pressed down on her shoulders. The match began, but something strange happened. Fault, then again and again. 8 service faults were called, an unusual and crushing number. Each call chipped away at her focus. The rhythm broken, the confidence shaken. She tried to breathe, but the lights were too bright, the eyes of millions, too loud. Her hand trembled, her mind blurred. She looked to the stands but saw nothing, just a blur of pressure, fear, and judgment. In that moment, she wasn't just playing against Li Xiaoxia, she was fighting panic, shame, and a deep sense of injustice. Her thoughts spiraled. Why is this happening? What did I do wrong? Those questions screamed louder than the crowd. That day, she didn't just lose a match, she lost herself in front of the entire world. But Ding Ning didn't cry on the podium. Her silver medal hung heavy, her tears weighted. That night, alone in the darkness of her room, they finally fell, not out of weakness, but because something inside her broke and began to rebuild. She whispered to herself, "Next time, it will be different." The years that followed became a battle of reinvention. She rebuilt her technique, mastered new serves, sharpened her footwork, refined her spin, perfected her placement. But more than anything, she trained her mind, endless hours, just her, a coach, and a ball machine. One motion repeated 1,000 times until it wasn't just muscle memory, it was armor. Her coach once said, "When Ding Ning sets her eyes on something, nothing, no one can stop her. She will keep going, even if she walks alone." Then came 2016, Rio de Janeiro, another Olympic final, and once again, standing across the table, Li Xiaoxia. The ghosts of London returned, but this time Ding Ning was ready. No service faults, no confusion, only clarity. Every stroke, sharp, calculated, elegant. You could see it in her eyes, the steel. Her feet danced around the court, but her heart stood still. Calm, unshakable, unbreakable. The score swayed back and forth. It was a final for the ages. Fierce rallies, unbelievable defense, explosive forehands. But Ding Ning had something her opponent didn't. 4 years of fire that refused to die. Then came match point, a rally, fast, furious, and then the final strike. Victory. The stadium erupted. Ding Ning dropped to her knees and the tears came again. But this time, they were light. They were freedom. She closed her eyes and whispered, "London, do you see me now?" She wasn't just an Olympic champion. She was a warrior who had conquered herself. That victory transformed her. After Rio, she became the heart of the Chinese national team. its leader, its compass, its quiet flame. In 2015 and again in 2017, she claimed the world championship titles. Her greatness was no longer questioned. She was no longer chasing legacy. She was the legacy. But behind the gold were scars, chronic wrist pain, shoulder injuries, back issues. Some nights the pain wouldn't let her sleep, but the next morning she was there. First in, last out. Not for records, not for glory, but because somewhere a little girl might be watching. She once said, "If my playing inspires even one little girl to believe in herself, then everything was worth it." In 2021, DingNing made a surprising decision. She retired, not to rest, but to serve. She enrolled in a graduate program in sports management at Peking University. She wanted to understand the system, to improve it, to lead from within. She began traveling, not to glitzy cities or TV studios, but to rural villages, remote schools, forgotten corners of her country. There she brought paddles, laughter, and stories. There's a video, maybe you've seen it, of her kneeling beside a disabled boy, gently teaching him to hold a paddle. She's patient, kind, encouraging. That moment wasn't about technique, it was about dignity, about hope. Ding Ning now advocates for gender equality in sports. She challenges outdated norms. She raises her voice, not to boast, but to uplift. A teammate once said, "When I lose, she doesn't tell me to forget it. She sits with me and tells me about her loss, about London, about how failure can burn you or forge you." Ding Ning is not just a champion, she is a mirror, reflecting what we can become when we refuse to stay down. She is proof that greatness is not a gift, it is a choice, made again and again, in cold rooms on sleepless nights, in the silence after defeat. She is the steel rose, beautiful but unbreakable. And maybe someday a little girl in a quiet town will pick up a paddle and say, "I want to be like Ding Ning." And just like that, the dream will live on, a dream of fire, of grace, of humility, a dream that whispers, "You can fall, but you must rise." And somewhere in the quiet, the sound of a bouncing ball echoes again, just like it once did, in a cold little room in Harbin. Thank you for listening to Ping Pong Dreams. If Ding Ning's story touched your heart, share it. Let her strength reach those quiet dreams out there, still waiting to bloom. And remember, behind every champion is a child who once whispered, "I won't give up."